Hello, everyone, and welcome to Day 2 of Adobe DITAWORLD. My name is Dawn Stevens, President of Comtech Services, and a proud partner with Adobe in enabling the technical communication industry to address the changing needs and expectations of our end users. Today, I have the privilege to reflect on the conference so far and kick off the second day of learning. After a full day of any conference, you may start to feel as though you've been drinking from a fire hose, with a barrage of fresh, new ideas hitting you in the face. So as we begin Day 2, I encourage you to pause and take stock of what you are feeling. On the one hand, you may be entirely inspired by everything that you've heard so far, ready to go back to your job and employ new methodologies and start the ball rolling on a variety of new initiatives. You may have a notebook full of ideas and you're eager to share with your team everything that you have learned. But there may also be some underlying anxiety. Do you have the skills and the perseverance to change and to adapt? You've heard so much. Where should you begin? Will you have the support of your team and your management as you bring forward what you have learned? Perhaps there might even be some jealousy or some frustration that others have had opportunities that you haven't. The presentations so far and throughout the remainder of the conference highlight the continuous need to learn and adapt in your career. The technical communication industry has undergone significant changes in my 30-year career, and it continues to do so. While we continue to embrace the core principles of writing well, the DITAWorld presentations have and will remind us that the processes that we're using and the end products we're delivering will continue to change. Fortunately, they provide guidance on how to navigate that transition by building skills in critical areas, including things like structured content, taxonomies, user experience, and cross-silo collaboration. In short, the DITAWorld presenters are seeking to help us navigate the changing landscape of our industry, which is shaking both our foundational and our architectural bases. Foundationally, what we create, our content and our knowledge assets, our delivery systems are all changing. Architecturally, how we create our assets, tools, technologies, processes are changing as well. The combination of these two facets in your environment define the type of change that you might be facing. Perhaps you're facing high foundational changes, maybe without significant architectural change. Your deliverables are changing in response to user expectations, but you continue with the same tools and processes. This is creative change, allowing you to reimagine and redesign the user experience while staying in a familiar, comfortable development environment to do so. For example, you may be exploring changing and repurposing traditional user manuals into interactive experiences or chatbots. Or maybe you're in the middle of a progressive change, incrementally and iteratively making small adjustments and improvements to your current content and your environment. You've adopted the motto that slow and steady wins the race. There's no need to upset the apple cart. Comfortable, minor changes will eventually result in a significant change when you take a look back. For example, you constantly monitor your user feedback and support desk tickets. You carefully analyze the data to determine, what the next step is in improving your customer experience. At the same time, you examine the time and effort required to deliver content, and you look for ways to improve efficiency. Perhaps you're focused on new tools and processes to more efficiently and effectively create your current information products. You're in the midst of redefining your roles in an intermediating change, perhaps to set yourselves up for leading a larger effort, such as an AI adoption across the whole organization. Opportunities certainly abound for you to assert your subject matter knowledge in content creation and user needs and expectations to influence not only technical publications, but any and all content assets across the entire organization. Or like many of us, you find yourself surrounded by radical change in every area of your career. We feel that our core assets and our activities are threatened by obsolescence. Our established capabilities and resources are being diminished by outside alternatives, such as AI. We're feeling the pressure to be entirely transformed as an industry and as individuals. The specter of this radical change seems especially prevalent as corporations aggressively look for ways to capitalize on AI technology. Regardless of where you find yourself, the reality is that there is no option reflecting a static state. Change, as they say, is the only constant in life. Look at these statistics from an Accenture report not quite 1 year ago. The vast majority of leaders and organizations recognize that change is here. 100% of leaders anticipate that change is going to happen. And 80% of organizations are planning on that long term. 95% of organizations have already undergone 2 or more transformations in just the last 3 years, and about the same amount are expecting more change in the next 3 years. So much so that they've already budgeted a significant portion of their revenues to those change initiatives. But on the other side, optimism about making and surviving those changes is alarmingly low. Only about 30% of your leaders have confidence in you to navigate the upcoming changes. So I ask you, as you reflect on the past day and you prepare for today and tomorrow, how will you respond to the call for change in our industry? You're here, so I believe that means that you are part, that you're past the state of pre-contemplation. You're part of the change. You know that change is coming and that it's needed. Perhaps you're still in the contemplation stage. You're here to gather more information about the change, or maybe you're in that preparation stage, getting ready to initiate some type of change in your organization. And maybe even you're already implementing changes, here to check that what you're doing conforms to the advice of others in this conference. My advice to you, regardless of what stage of change you're in, is to evaluate your readiness for that change. Experts say that for change to take place and to stick, all 4 quadrants of this change diagram have to be in place, representing both your mindset and your action, internal and external factors at both the individual and the collective level. On the left side, consider how and what you and your organization think. Are your beliefs and attitudes ready for change? As an individual, are you prioritizing the output of the change? I want to use the AI, or are you actually prioritizing your identity? You want to be a modern technical communicator, able to adapt to change. How will these changes benefit you personally? On the collective side, how will they benefit your company? And does your company culture embrace change as a way to remain relevant? On the right side, consider how you and your organization work. Are you taking small, consistent actions that will create change in the long run, putting things that you want to do within your reach? Is your organization giving you the resources and the access to information you need to make those changes? As you reflect on your experience here at DITAWorld, I encourage you to think about change management as well. How will you pursue change and continue your evolution? Your mindset is a key. We can be overwhelmed and discouraged by developments such as AI, or you can be inspired and to expand your role because of it and augment your abilities. You've invested in this learning opportunity, so I encourage you to use it and take charge of the changes facing our industry and lead through uncertain times. After today, you're going to go back to your organizations. You may be facing hundreds of emails and a few days of backlog in your to-do lists, but don't let the pressures of catching up diminish the potential of acting on what you've learned. Reflect now on what your action items will be when you return, your short and long-term steps, and who you need to involve to make change a reality. Without a plan, I guarantee you that progress will be slower, if any is made at all. Now, as you hear new ideas and learn from the experiences of others, is the time for you to map your path to implementing your own changes the way you want to, in the timing that you want. And when you have the success I'm sure you will have, remember others are working on their own changes. There's nothing more validating and solidifying to a change that you've made than sharing it with others. I personally invite you to continue your learning journey and share your experiences not only at a future DITAWorld, but at any of our forthcoming CIDM conferences that you see on this slide. And remember that the importance of community in supporting learning and change. As an industry, technical communication is certainly in the midst of a radical change, and we need to support each other, improving our relevance and our adaptability. So I invite you to become a member of the growing CIDM community. You can visit infomanagementcenter.com for more information on the conferences I mentioned and on membership. Whether these steps or others, I encourage you to remember that change is going to happen with or without you. So make sure that you are in control of your own fate. Enjoy the rest of the conference and the future that will come from it. If I can be of any help in that journey, please feel free to reach out. Now we'll take a quick pause, and we'll see you soon in the next session, where Mark Lewis, co-founder and principal content strategist at Caliber Content Services, will address in his keynote how the growing presence of data in technical documentation has transformed the way we must think about content strategy, component design, and delivery.